This is The Blockchain Show. The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology. This is episode 81 with Andrew Jewett and Rudy Cortes from Property Coin. Property Coin is designed to enable the growth of the existing technology and real estate investment company Aperture. Their technology platform, market analysis, and human expertise identifies and capitalizes on investment opportunities in the $162 trillion global residential real estate market.
I'm here and founding partners at Aperture and Property Coin. My name is Andrew Jewett. I am formerly an investment banker by trade and then went on to work at an operating company, which is where I met Rudy. And Aperture is a vertically integrated real estate operating company that utilizes data and technology to source, manage, and dispose of distressed residential real estate across the country. And that's Rudy's expertise, and I'll let him get into it in a little bit. But we started Aperture in 2016 with the intent of really utilizing big data and technology to improve and enhance upon the way that the traditional fix and flip model in the United States works. And typically, you're buying at foreclosure auctions and you're investing in distressed residential real estate across the country. We've said, let's kind of flip that on its head and use big data and technology to identify and acquire those assets across the country. So Rudy is a super pro at this, and I'll let him talk about his background. But we have a super experienced team on staff at this point. We've got 15 people now on staff, all of which are highly experienced in the real estate or lending business. And we're poised to do big things. We started Aperture to really create what we think is one of the very few large-scale operators operating in distressed residential real estate across the country, and want this to be a multi-billion-dollar platform. So I'll stop chatting here and let Rudy introduce himself. But that's the game plan, that's the goal, and we're innovating blockchain in really interesting ways, which we can touch on. But that's the kind of underlying foundation of Aperture and Property Coin.
My name is Rudy Cortes. I am one of the co-founders and the COO of our flip operations here at Aperture and Property Coin. I have a background in real estate. I've been in real estate since 2003. I've been flipping real estate all that time for the most part. My background, Andrew, Matt, and myself, we came from one of the largest fix and flip operators in the country where, under my portfolio, we did probably over 3,000 flips. So now we're taking all that experience that we had there and bring it over here to Property Coin and Aperture and trying to kind of change the model a little bit to make it more efficient. Some of the things that we saw, some of the inefficiencies from our other company, we're trying to kind of improve on that, right? Our motto is revolutionize the way real estate is transacted. And along with the blockchain, along with a lot of the processes we've created, we really think we're doing that. And we're able to make this fix and flip operation across the country pretty efficient to where we can scale up and move in and out of markets pretty efficient.
That's awesome. So when did blockchain come into the mix?
Well, I'll say we've been interested in kind of keeping our eye on Bitcoin and maybe more specifically blockchain for quite a while. But I'll say the real interest started back in second quarter of 2017 when we saw what was going on in the ICO world. And, somewhat selfishly, we saw companies raising a lot of money that we didn't think were either worthy of raising all that money or, not doing it appropriately. And I'll say that the investment bankers in Matt and I, kind of stepped in and took over our brains for a little bit and said, we've issued over $150 billion worth of asset-backed securities, financing facilities, and assets in our careers. And what we saw in the blockchain space was a new use case, right? A new way to put assets and securities on a publicly distributed ledger that allows for much greater liquidity and much more efficiency in trading those assets. So So that's where it really started to click for us. Was we had started Aperture, we'd kind of tested it, and Rudy's team had done a great job in kind of proving out the base case and building out the model. And so we'd always planned on raising capital in, Q2, Q3 of 2017. And we saw what was going on in ICO land and said, oh my God, we're sitting in the perfect scenario right now of having an operating company that needs capital, having two former investment bankers as part of the leadership team, and a company that really knows what to do with that capital, right? And we have an existing platform. So it right around then is when we were introduced to it more concretely via a couple friends who were living in Switzerland, and so that was the kind of first step down the rabbit hole for us, and we haven't looked back since. It's been super fun, I'll say that.
Yeah, if I can add to that a little bit, since we founded this company, we really wanted to use technology to its fullest, right? Like I said, our whole motto is, hey, let's revolutionize the way real estate is transacted. And from the very beginning, I'm not sure if Andrew mentioned, like we've built our own proprietary software to find properties, to manage them, to kind of maximize efficiency. And so technology has been the backbone of our company. So when we needed to raise capital, and we saw what was going on in the blockchain world, we thought, hey, we're basically a fintech type company that uses technology to the fullest. This is a perfect way for us to combine the newest technology out there, which is blockchain, with an old school asset, which is real estate. And we thought it was a perfect combination, which is another reason why we really, really were excited about it. And we still are.
It is really exciting. And I'm curious if the tokenization model is going to be able to solve any of the problems that maybe affected real estate before, or is that just kind of wishful thinking on my end?
I think it will, and I think it's going to take a little while for that to catch on. I think first and foremost, we have to make it catch on as a way to issue securities and put assets on the block, tradable assets on the blockchain. But I think one of the problems, and having been on Wall Street during the crash and seen it kind of firsthand, was one of the biggest problems was too much leverage, and so and not understanding appropriately where assets were, right? So as an example, if a bank issued a subprime mortgage bond which was bought by a CDO, then put in a structured vehicle, and then that structured vehicle was bought by another structured vehicle, you could have, almost 100% leverage on the underlying assets, actually way more than 100% leverage on the underlying assets. And when those assets go bad, it causes this huge ripple effect. The movie The Big Short did a great job of kind of portraying that. I don't know if you've seen it, where there's the scene in the casino where there are people betting on bets on bets on bets on bets. That's kind of what happened, and it caused this massive ripple effect during the crisis. But I think if you have the ability to put trades and put assets on the blockchain, it's a much easier argument to understand where all of those assets are, right? I mean, that's the beauty of the blockchain, is it's a distributed ledger. So you will have the ability to see where those assets are and understand when you've gotten to a point, hopefully, of too much leverage or a cataclysmic event that is on the horizon. So I think that's going to take quite some time, but I do think that the blockchain has the ability to maybe provide more transparency. I don't know about preventing, because how do you prevent actors from doing what they're going to do? But there will at least be more transparency.
And from my perspective, to answer your question about, how is this going to change the real estate industry? I think we are at the cusp of blockchain changing the entire real estate industry, right? I was just on a panel at USC talking with some other people on the panel were just commercial lenders, for example, right? And it was a room full of people, and their biggest challenge was getting capital for their projects, right? And I was there talking about property coin and blockchain. And, when you look at the future of capital for real estate, I think that is one of the biggest opportunities for real estate investors, because there's so much money that wants to be in real estate. It's a very difficult transaction. There's so many moving parts, like Andrew was talking about, all these institutions and all this red tape and things like that. If you can make the process so much easier and simpler on the blockchain, and you can have people outside of the country investing in U.S. real estate, and you're matching investors who need the capital, or investors, real estate developers who need the capital, with investors outside the country who want to invest in real estate, and you can make that transaction somehow easier and frictionless. I mean, the future of real estate is amazing. I think we're at the very cusp of this revolution of changing the way real estate is financed, and the assets are tokenized. It's going to take some time, like Andrew said, but I think we're at the beginning of something really special.
Speaking of the future, let's talk about your guys' ICO a little bit. Are we in pre-ICO stage? Are we full on ICO now?
I'll say everything that we're doing is a little bit different just from what's conventional in the ICO space. So we are technically in pre-ICO phase, but it's available for sale. The reason why it's in pre-ICO phase is because we've been advised by counsel to not distribute the tokens until the entire sale is complete. So technically, if you bought today, you wouldn't receive tokens until after the sale is done. But we are available for sale. People can come in and place orders right now. I think, one of the things that I mentioned of being different is that, we are a security token. We're not afraid of it. We've engaged, the largest law firm in the world in a firm called Dentons. And that's a group that we've worked with pretty much my entire career, pretty much all of Matt's career, in securities issuance. And so we've kind of from the beginning said, we're going to take the path of being honest and forthright and offering this as a security. We're not going to try and get around it and offer a utility token that, allows you to invest in assets. That's there, you can't fight City Hall, right? You're not going to win fighting the SEC. So we are a security token. So that's made a certainly an uphill learning curve, but I think we're starting to get some really positive traction right now. We announced last week that we're going to be listed on Open Finance. We are partnered with T0 for listing as well. We are right now currently live on Swarm Fund. So if Swarm Fund investors want to invest in our token, you can invest there. And we've got some really interesting partnerships that are coming about hopefully in the next few days. Some big influencers are going to be coming on as advisors. But yeah, the sale's going great. I think we've faced some uphill battles. I think the beginning of this year was a challenging time just from a market perspective. But it's as is the case with any new and innovative product, you've got to educate people. And so we've been pounding the pavement, going to conferences, going to meet people, and having a ton of fun at it. To be honest, I'm really, really enjoying this process of meeting new and interesting people and learning about new and interesting technology. And I think, Rudy can attest to this, but we're real estate and finance guys, and we've got a technology team that's pretty awesome. But it's been really fun to learn about all of these new technologies that are coming in, specifically blockchain, and the power that it has to change the world. So we're having a lot of fun, that's for sure. Rudy, I don't know if you want to comment on the sale process or anything, but we're excited. And I think this is the first step in bringing assets and asset-backed securities to the blockchain for the world to invest in.
Right on. I was just going to say, so in case we have people at their computers right now, what's the website?
For us, it's propertycoin.re. Our corporate email, our website is aperture.re, but propertycoin.re is the place where you can go and buy right now and check out all the materials up there.
Very cool. So property.re. Do you see anything in the space related to real estate, any talent or any idea that you've heard that you'd like to incorporate under your umbrella, or that's just maybe not quite the timing yet, or what do you see the future to unfold?
I don't think there's any particular one or specific thing that we're looking at, but I think one of the I guess sectors that we're looking into to kind of either partner or eventually maybe acquire is we're looking for, right now one of the biggest issues we're having and I think the real estate industry is having with the Bitcoin is the escrow process, right? Like how to transfer the title, how to transfer the funds, buying a piece of US real estate using property coin or using Bitcoin. It's a very difficult process right now. So if anything, we're looking for a partner, or we're looking for someone to be able to streamline that process. I think that's probably our biggest target right now.
I'll say, to add on to that, our goal is to make this a kind of, Rudy coined the phrase early on, was like the Amazon of real estate, right? We want to have brokerage, we want to have contracting services, we want to have escrow, title, listing services for all of our customers. We want to make this a one-stop shop. And so I'm sure eventually there will be acquisition targets or just hiring targets that we can bolt on. But right now, the core is buying distressed properties and selling distressed properties, lending to investors that also invest in distressed properties. And so right now that's a pretty solid ecosystem, and those two businesses feed off each other quite well. But I think, we're aside from Property Coin, we're in talks with some very large institutions on investments right now. And I can't mention any of those names yet, but I think with those partnerships in play, there is the opportunity for significant expansion and growth into that model, and that's ultimately been the goal, right? We want to become that multi-billion-dollar ecosystem for real estate transactions, and this is Property Coin is the first step towards that right now.
Okay, thank you. That gives me a pretty good idea. You mentioned distressed properties, and I couldn't help but think about distressed people who used to own those properties. I'm curious how it's going to work from the people on the street kind of thing, because we have a lot of lay people that listen to the show. I'm sure there's a lot of real estate agents that are kind of catching the buzz and want to learn a little bit. How would someone start from scratch and learn about your project and get involved?
I think go to propertycoin.re. That would be a good first step. We've got a pretty good, actually an excellent, if I can pat ourselves on the back a little bit, explainer video on YouTube. And I think our YouTube handle is just Property Coin. It might be property_coin, but if you just type in Property Coin, it'll come up. We did a 3-minute kind of explainer video as to what we do. But look, one of the things that we want to do is partner with real estate agents and brokers and contractors and have them be a valuable source for us, but also a valuable way for them to make money with us. So if they have assets they want to sell us, we can buy them. If they want to invest with us, they can invest with us. And it kind of goes back to that one-stop shop thing. But I'll say, you mentioned a point earlier that about the distressed people who used to be in those homes. An unfortunate nature of the business that we play in is there are defaults and there are evictions. We try to stay as far away from that as possible. We don't buy at foreclosure auctions at this point. There's a lot of people who have made a lot of money off of that, and that's just one of the things that we're trying not to do. We like to say that our business in and of itself, aside from Property Coin, aside from anything that we do with realtors and contractors, is a community development vehicle, and it's a socially responsible vehicle. One of the things we like to do is buy houses from either people who have given up on that house, or banks have foreclosed on it a long time ago and let it sit vacant, and it's become a nuisance for property owners around it. The best house for us is a boarded up house. And it's not just because we can come in and make a profit off of it, but it's because we've come in, we've hired local contractors, we've hired local brokers, we've fixed that house, we've improved the neighborhood, we've improved the tax basis of the town in which we operate. So it's, we like to take a little bit different spin on it and try and focus on the positives, because regardless of the fact that we are buying it or somebody else is buying that house, the reality exists that defaults happen, foreclosures happen, and we just try and make the best out of the situation in which we find ourselves. And so I think the way we do that is by revitalizing communities and doing good by the neighborhoods in which we buy houses.
And to add to that, your question of how can the layperson get involved, and you're right, there are a lot of distressed people out there. Back to the idea, and I came up with this a while ago, of we want to be the Amazon of real estate, right? So Amazon started with just by selling books. That's all they did, and then from there they slowly grew into the behemoth they are. So we want to start with selling properties and loans, right? That's the beginning. But the end goal is to have everyone and anyone who wants to be involved in real estate the access to that, right? That's kind of what we're heading towards. And that's kind of why we think the future is in blockchain. Because if you imagine, if you will, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, Property Coin is out there. The layperson on the street, right, that wants to invest in real estate but doesn't know how to. The real estate agent out there, they have anywhere from $100 to $1,000 they can invest. That's their disposable income. In a year, 2 years from now, they'll be able to buy Property Coin and say, hey, I invested $200, $300, $500, $1,000, and look at the properties I'm investing in. They'll be able to be a part of what we're doing, right? And what we're doing is not just making money, like Andrew alluded to. We're operating in the segment of the market that we think is being ignored by a lot of the home builders right now, which is the entry level market, right? These markets where half the homes on the street are vacant, in markets where there's a lot of distress. So we're coming into these markets, getting those homes, turning them into nice livable homes as opposed to drug dens and boarded up houses. So we're doing good in the neighborhoods, and people on the street, the layperson, will be allowed to participate in that using the blockchain with as little as $200-$300. And I think if people can do that, that is, Andrew coined this term, democratizing the real estate investing world. That's what it's doing. Right now, if you have $1,000, you can't invest in fix and flip real estate if you're a layperson. You can't do it, but everyone wants to be in part of it. With our model, in a year, 2 years from now, anybody with $1,000 can invest in it. And it's transparent, and they can see it online, and they can see what we're doing, how we're doing it, and every month they'll see a report of what their coin is worth and where their money's going. And I think that, if you look at the vision down the road, that's the fun part. That's the exciting part.
I got to say, this is probably the most promising project I've heard about yet. So
Thank you.
Definitely everybody listening needs to get involved, because I think if we help you, we're going to end up helping all of us in the end.
We want to take the first step here. We've been really proactive in making blockchain as a use case for securitizing and tokenizing assets. We really made a concerted effort to invest in this project and make sure that it's a template for future issuances. So we need the money to grow our business. That's the primary goal. But the secondary goal is to make this successful so that tokenization as a business model, as a democratization model of assets, really is successful going forward. I think we're the guys out there who want to be super helpful to anybody else in the industry, not just real estate, not just asset backed, but anybody kind of in the blockchain space. We want to be helpful. We want to be as open source as possible. So we're happy to chat with anybody. We think this is a really, really interesting and dynamic space, and our project in specific is really investor friendly. I don't think we even talked about our project too much, but like in terms of economics, but it's a really interesting and innovative project, and we hope that your listeners are intrigued, interested enough to purchase some tokens, and I think we want to be helpful out there. So if there's anybody that has questions or wants to just bounce ideas off of us, we're always available.
Yeah, and to close it out, we're doing this again to kind of revolutionize the way real estate's transacting. I keep saying that, but it's really true. And for me, I hope it comes through in the way I talk, but I'm passionate about real estate. I always have been. And one of my biggest dreams was to be, because everyone always wants to be involved in real estate, just they don't have the opportunity. And I think this project, if we can get the support of people out there to kind of help us create that end vision of allowing the average Joe to invest in real estate in as little as a couple $100, and it be managed by actual professionals who have done this for a living. You got Wall Street guys with experience, you got real estate guys with experience. You have a team of just pros doing it. And if the average guy can do that, I mean, it'll allow people to kind of move up the socioeconomic ladder a little bit, or at least start investing in it and helping them better their lives. Like the vision of it is so much bigger than just the economics of it. You know what I mean? And we hope people see that. We hope it comes through. And, you know, we're just asking for everyone who's listening out there to kind of support us in that vision and go out there and help us buy some tokens.
All right. Well, there it is. Andrew, Rudy, thank you so much for your time. It's a real pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having us, Ethan.
Cheers. Bye.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com.